Today, I want to share some genuinely shocking news that has stunned tennis fans around the world. The tennis world is in upheaval right now. The French Open, officially known as Roland Garros, is set to begin its main draw on May 24th. As one of the four Grand Slams, and arguably the most prestigious clay court tournament in the world, this storied event might just take place without its biggest stars. That's the alarming possibility being discussed right now. Women's world number 1 Iga Swiatek, men's world number 1 Jannik Sinner, and American star Coco Gauff, among the world's elite, are all using a single word: boycott. So what exactly is happening? Let me walk you through it step by step. This crisis came to a head earlier this week. Top-ranked male and female players, mostly from the world's top 20, issued a joint statement. And one phrase in that statement set everything in motion. The message was simple: we are deeply disappointed with the French Open's prize money allocation. Now, this didn't come out of nowhere. Since March 2025, around 20 leading players have been writing collectively to the four Grand Slam tournaments, attempting to negotiate. This has been a 15-month campaign. When negotiations stalled, it finally erupted into this public statement. The list of signatories is quite remarkable. On the women's side, Sabalenka, Coco Gauff, Iga Swiatek, Jessica Pegula, Madison Keys, Jasmine Paolini, Emma Navarro, Zheng Qinwen, Paula Badosa, and Mira Andreeva. Almost the entire women's top 10. The men's side is similar. Sinner, Zverev, Taylor Fritz, Casper Ruud, Daniil Medvedev, Andrei Rublev, Stefanos Tsitsipas, and Alex de Minaur. Pretty much the men's top 10 as well. But there's an interesting note here. 24-time Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic did not sign this statement. Defending champion Carlos Alcaraz also didn't sign. Some British media outlets actually highlighted that the absence of Djokovic and Alcaraz is notable. Then things escalated the very next day. At a press conference ahead of the Italian Open, on her 28th birthday no less, Sabalenka dropped a bombshell. Let me share Sabalenka's exact words, as quoted by the Associated Press. "Without us, there wouldn't be a tournament, and there wouldn't be that entertainment. The show is on us. I feel like definitely we deserve to be paid more percentage." That was the polite part, but what came next was the real bombshell. "I think at some point we will boycott it. I feel like that's going to be the only way to fight for our rights." The world's number 1 publicly raised the possibility of boycotting a Grand Slam. To put this in perspective for those who might not grasp how seismic this is, imagine LeBron James floating the idea of boycotting the NBA Finals. That's the weight of this statement. American star Coco Gauff backed her up, and Gauff specifically referenced the WNBA, women's professional basketball in the U.S. Honestly, I kind of agree with that, just taking what the WNBA kind of accomplished. They also have a union, so I think that helps. To make massive progress, it usually takes a union. We have to become unionized in some way. She also added something powerful. "It's not about me. It's about the future of our sport." The 200 best tennis players are living paycheck to paycheck, whereas in other sports, it's not even a discussion. So just how low is this prize money that's causing such an uproar? The numbers might actually surprise you. This year's French Open has a total prize pool of 61.7 million euros, about 72 million US dollars. That's a 9.5% increase from last year, an additional 5.3 million euros. The singles champion will receive 2.8 million euros, roughly $3.3 million. Even players who lose in the first round take home 87,000 euros. That's an 11.5% increase. Sounds like a lot of money, right? But the player's argument is different. The key issue is not the absolute amount, it's the percentage. According to data the players have made public, Roland Garros generated 395 million euros in revenue in 2025. That's a 14% year-on-year increase, a record high. But prize money only rose 5.4%. As a result, the players' share of total revenue dropped to 14.3%. In 2024, it was 15.5%. This year's projected revenue is over 400 million euros, but the players' share is still expected to remain below 15%. The players are demanding 22%, which is what they get at ADP and WTA combined 1,000 events. Let's compare with other sports. In America's four major leagues, the NBA, NFL, and MLB, players receive roughly 50% of revenue. Half goes to the players, but tennis Grand Slams give less than 15%. How about the other Grand Slams? Last year's U.S. Open prize pool was $90 million. The Australian Open this year hit a record $111.5 million Australian dollars. Wimbledon paid out £72.5 million. The French Open is, frankly, the cheapest of the four Grand Slams. But not every player supports a boycott. Opinions are split. There are players who openly back the idea. World number 2, Elena Rybakina, said, "If the majority say we are boycotting, we are not playing, then of course I'm up for it." Italy's Jasmine Paolini, who reached both the French Open and Wimbledon finals in 2024, also agreed. If we're all in agreement, and I think we are, the men and the women are united right now, it's something we could do. But the cautious voices are equally strong. The most prominent is four-time French Open champion Iga Swiatek, who pushed back against the boycott idea. The most important thing, honestly, is to have proper communication and discussions with the governing bodies. So we have some space to talk and maybe negotiate. Boycotting the tournament is a bit extreme. Britain's Emma Raducanu also made it clear that she wouldn't skip a Grand Slam. The reactions from experts and tennis legends are also fascinating. Belgium's Kim Clijsters, former world number 1 and four-time Grand Slam champion, offered a balanced perspective. I think where IGA stands with her comments was that, okay, maybe boycotting right now seems a little extreme, but let's keep negotiating. The approach I would take is, let's have these top players sit in the meeting rooms and see what the challenges are. It's not for the Sinners and Sabalenkas, it's the general pool of players who deserve to be treated in a different way. Former ADP top ranker Sam Querrey was much more direct. On his podcast, he told the players to stop complaining and organize a real boycott. And here's an interesting historical detail. Tennis actually has a precedent for this kind of collective action. It happened at Wimbledon in 1973, 53 years ago. Yugoslav star Niki Pilic had a scheduling conflict between the Davis Cup and a professional tournament. He chose the pro event. His national federation slapped him with a 9-month ban. The ITF reduced it to 1 month, but that month happened to include the first week of Wimbledon. In response, the newly formed ADP Players Association organized a mass boycott. 81 players walked out. Defending champion Stan Smith, two-time champion John Newcombe, they all refused to play. 12 of the 16 men's seeds withdrew. The tournament went ahead anyway, and Yin Kodesh ended up winning. The British press called the boycotting players money-mad stars, but this incident ultimately reshaped the structure of professional tennis. We're seeing a similar atmosphere now. The difference, though, is that in 1973, players actually followed through. Today, it's still just talk. There's one more major variable in all of this. Defending champion Carlos Alcaraz has withdrawn due to injury. On April 14th, Alcaraz suffered a wrist injury during his first match at the Barcelona Open. He withdrew from Barcelona the next day, then skipped the Madrid Open. On April 24th, he announced he would miss both the Italian Open and the French Open. Tests reportedly showed wrist tendon inflammation combined with cartilage damage. Alcaraz is the two-time defending French Open champion. Last year, he beat Sinner in a 5-hour and 29-minute marathon to win his second title. With Alcaraz out, Sinner suddenly becomes the overwhelming favorite. But Sinner himself seemed conflicted about it. Hearing about Alcaraz's injury, he said, "Tennis needs Carlos. There's a much better spirit when he is around. I'm sure he'll come back stronger than before. I wish him a speedy recovery. It's a sad time for tennis." So with the boycott controversy already swirling, the defending champion is now too. The 2026 French Open is generating an awful lot of noise before a single ball has even been struck. Let me wrap up. First, top 20 male and female players have issued a joint statement expressing deep disappointment with the French Open's prize money. However, Djokovic and Alcaraz did not sign on. Second, the central issue is not the dollar amount, it's the percentage. Players want 22% of revenue, but they're getting less than 15%. Third, while Sabalenka and others are openly raising the boycott option, cautious voices like Swiatek and Raducanu prefer to keep negotiating. Fourth, the French Tennis Federation is not staying silent either. They've issued an official statement saying they are fully committed to ongoing dialogue with all stakeholders and are willing to engage directly with players. They emphasize that the FFT is a non-profit organization and all revenues are reinvested into the tournament, grassroots tennis, women's tennis, and wheelchair tennis. They also pointed out that they recently invested over 400 million euros into facility upgrades. Both sides remain far apart. The French Open main draw begins on May 24th and runs through the men's final on June 7th. That gives both sides about 2 weeks to negotiate. Will they reach a compromise, or will we witness the first Grand Slam boycott in 53 years? Tennis fans worldwide are watching with bated breath. What do you think? Are the players' demands justified, or is what they're already getting more than enough? Let me know in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.